Hello and welcome, my friends. Thank you for joining me. It's been a while since I've posted a new video, so thank you for your patience. If you've been waiting for new content, here it is. So recently I gave a little sort of a guest, I was a guest on a friend's Zoom call where I talked about the vagus nerve, its relationship to our stress response, and how we can strengthen it in order to keep our bodies more in parasympathetic mode, rest and digest mode, which over time builds stress resilience, and why that is so important. So I know we tend to think of yoga solely in the physical sense, right? It's what's shown to us in mainstream media. It's what we see on Instagram. Those of us who have been practicing for a while, we know it goes a lot deeper than the physical. So true, we definitely need the physical body. It's an essential component to our yoga practice, but we use the body in order to get into the mind. So that is the main goal of yoga. So there's a fancy word for this, which is called interoception, and it just refers to our ability to notice what's going on in our internal state. And this is where the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system comes in. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about that today before we got rolling into our practice, just to maybe give you something different to think about while you're practicing, maybe help take your yoga practice to the next level, to where you're contemplating, you're considering your yoga practice on a different level, and that is not just in the physical, that it's more for our mental health, it's more for our nervous system to keep that fight or flight system at bay. And of course it kicks on when it's necessary, but really we're trying to stay more in rest and digest for the health of our nervous system. So, as I mentioned, the vagus nerve, it's our largest cranial nerve, and it starts at the base of the brain. It wanders throughout the entire body, independent of the spinal column. So it has little nerve endings all throughout the body. Lots of them in the face, lots of them in the throat, all the way down into the heart and lungs, into spleen and kidneys, digestive system. So basically every important organ, right, all of our internal organs has nerve endings. And the vagus nerve's job is to report back to the brain what's going on in those various organs, right? And so eventually that translates into a conscious thought of, hey, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm nauseous, I'm itchy, I'm tired, whatever, and then we go take care of our bodily needs. So some people are a little better at this interoceptive awareness than others, and it could be for a myriad of reasons. The main one, though, in this modern world of ours is stress. Chronic stress really weakens the vagus nerve. It weakens the signal. It weakens our ability to know what's going on in the body. So if you think about a real life example, think about a time when you were stressed to the max, like your stress was, at a 9 or a 10. How aware were you of subtle changes going on in your body, right? How aware were you of maybe hunger or thirst, or that you had to go to the bathroom? You might not have realized that for a couple of hours. So thankfully, the vagus nerve, just like a muscle, it can be strengthened, and that is where our yoga practice comes in. So just the act of sitting quietly and breathing, even for just 5 minutes, actually research shows that even just 1 minute of conscious breathing can help strengthen that vagus nerve. So imagine what you can do when you really start cultivating that practice. So again, the reason that's important to know, to have a strong sense of internal awareness, right? Well, the key to change is awareness. So if we don't know what's going on, we can't make any changes. But again, when we become aware, we're able to stay in that parasympathetic mode, rest and digest mode. And when we're in that mode, that means our body is in like chill mode, right? Truly, like body processes are working as usual, digestion is working optimally, hopefully, heart rate is down, blood pressure is down, tissues are being repaired, versus when we're in a low grade or even high grade chronic stress state, digestion is hampered, tissues aren't really being repaired, right? All those resources, if your body detects a stress state, which can be caused from a lot of things, if your body detects that stress state, things like digestion, all that stuff is going to be hampered because all your resources are going towards a survival mechanism. Make sense? So again, this is why our yoga practice and what we do here on the mat is so important, and it goes so much deeper than just being able to nail, downward facing dog or tree pose or headstand or whatever. We get real caught up in how perfect those poses are when in fact it doesn't matter. What matters is the effort. Are we breathing consciously? Because if we're looking at this as our goal, right, the stress relief, having a healthier mind and body as the goal, then how our pose looks has nothing to do with that. It's all about the effort, which is what I say all the time. It's all about the effort, and that the magic lies in our breath. So I could go on and on and on about this topic. It's one of my favorite topics, but I just wanted to share that little snippet with you so that you had something to chew on while we're practicing yoga today. So our actual practice is going to be a classic Hatha practice. So that just means we're not doing a flow style, and it means that we're doing some really foundational basic yoga postures. We're going to really take it back to the basics so that we can focus on our breathing in those poses and really make that our goal today. So with that said, hopefully you're already in your Sukhasana, your comfortable seated position. I tend to tuck my feet in, which is a nice little variation. True Sukhasana, as I've read it, has your feet flexed under opposite knees, so you have a little triangle shape in between your legs here. And of course, I am perched up on the edge of my blanket so that my hips are a little higher. But you can also use bolster, block, whatever you have available. I want you to be comfortable here while we sit and breathe for 5-ish minutes. So one more thing before I close my mouth and we enjoy some silent time is that, this is how I always begin my yoga classes. This is how most yoga classes begin. Comfortable seated position, 5 minutes or so of conscious breathing. And I always start with a little active relaxation exercise for the facial muscles. And again, this is all back to the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve has a lot of nerve endings in the face and throat. So when we start to consciously become aware of that part of the body and we start to relax, it sets the whole tone for the rest of your practice, for the rest of the body to start to chill out. So without further ado, let's bring the hands together in front of heart center and acknowledge the beginning of our yoga practice. And take a conscious breath, our first conscious breath together here. Nice inhale in through the nose. Mouth exhale. There is a time and a place for a good mouth breath. Gives weight to the exhale, really allows a lot of stress to leave the body at once quickly. So maybe a couple of those nice mouth exhales, and then resume your yoga breath in and out through the nasal passage, smooth, even, and deep. And you can let the hands relax back down at your lap. Sit nice and tall. Close the eyes. Actively relax your brow. Just feel it get smoother and softer. Especially that little space between the brows. Let that soften. And let your eyes be soft. Just closed enough to keep the light out. And the cheeks and the jaw begin to soften as well. The back teeth are unclenched. Swallow to relax the throat. And let your tongue be passive in the bottom of your mouth. Shoulders are relaxed back and down. And as we move our awareness down the body, let's take our breath with it. Let's take our hands to the low ribs and guide that breath into our diaphragm, really deep belly, diaphragmatic breath. So as we inhale, again, I want you to feel the hands expand. You're not pushing on your rib cage at all. You're just there. Hands are there as a guide. Inhale, expand out. Exhale, contract in. Inhale again, expand out. Contract in, slow exhale. Should feel like a slow leak out of a balloon, really slow, controlled exhale. And let's do one more breath together like that. Slow exhale. Good. Relax the hands back to your legs. Keep all that engagement we created. Check in with the spine. Make sure you're still sitting tall. Another deep breath without the hands there as a guide. And a slow exhale. And then you can open the eyes and find a little spot to focus. We'll start with a couple gentle little stretches here before we get into our classic Hatha practice today. We're going to plant the right palm out to our side and just give the floor a little push away. Extend the left arm out to the left, palm up. Inhale, reach up until your fingertips are pointing up. Exhale, bend, really lean to the right. Feel the stretch in the left, going all the way from the left rib cage up into the underarm, out the left fingertips. You can look down or up, wherever feels good for your neck. And then let's come up, plant that left palm, give it a little push, extend the right arm. Inhale, sweep it up about halfway. Exhale, nice deep bend to the side. It'll warm up that spine. My right side is a little achy today, so I'm going to pay extra special attention to that. Good. Inhale, come up. So depending on how you're seated, you might have to adjust a little. So we're going to fold forward here. So you might need to adjust your legs a bit. So we don't need props for this. Just walk out a little. Walk out a little on your little finger pads here, and you can start to lower. Maybe you can get to the forearms. If not, it's no big deal. Just a gentle forward fold. Breathing now deeply into both sides of your body. So feel both sides of your rib cage expand. And if you're on forearms, come back to palms or finger pads and walk over to the left. Another big stretch for the right side of the body. This feels really nice. And walk through center. Take your time. Remember, everything we do in yoga is in service of the vagus nerve, in service of our rest and digest system. So whipping around in your practice is counterproductive. Right? Slow, mindful movement. It not only triggers that system, but we build strength. We build those really small, stabilizing muscles, or those are the muscles that really keep us balanced and strong. So, all right, let's come back up to nice seat here. If you're on a block or a blanket, slide it out from underneath you and just place it nearby. And let's come into the classic cat-cow. Actually, before we go into that though, let's spend a moment in tabletop. Fingers wide, palms flat, and I want you to really articulate on the whole surface of each hand. So really pushing fingers down, finger pads too. Notice your knees right underneath hips, and feet flat or toes tucked, doesn't matter. And just make sure your ankle is extending behind your knee, so your ankles aren't opened or going in, right? Nice 90-degree angle there with the legs. And then the other thing to notice here in table, I know this feels like such a basic pose that we get really bored and annoyed when we have to stay in it because we want to go do something interesting, but this is important. So the tendency when we're not thinking about it is to let gravity take over, and the belly, we go into that cow belly, right? The cow position. So the belly drops, and we're sinking into the shoulder girdle. So the first thing to do is to push out so your arms are really strong and your ears and shoulders are far apart from one another, right? They're not scrunched together. And then we have to tuck the tailbone here a little. So if you pretended that you had a little puppy dog tail here, it would feel as though, maybe if you want to practice wagging your tail for a minute, it would feel as though you're tucking your tail under. Have you ever seen your dog do that when it gets in trouble, right? It tucks its tail. So that's what we're doing. It's a very slight tuck. It's not a big one. It's not like we're trying to fully scoop the pelvis here. It's very slight just to counteract that belly drop. So this is going to keep your core tight. And the reason this is important is not just because of table, but we're in table a lot in yoga practices. It's a good starting point for a lot of poses, and it's a transition point. So it's good to make sure you know what it feels like to have a strong, active tabletop. Foundational. Okay. For cat-cow, then we do intentionally with control. Let the belly drop. We control that movement. We don't let gravity drag it down. Look up. Exhale. Now we're fully tucking that tail. Full tail tuck here as we look back at the navel, round the spine, and repeat. Inhale. And exhale, round. Inhale. Pull. It's like you're pulling the heart through your arms, and exhale, round the spine. I want you to do a couple more while I just say a couple more things about this pose. So not only is table foundational and important, but our cat-cow too. I know it seems like super basic, like, what am I getting out of this? It is your spinal warm-up for the practice. It is a really good and efficient warm-up. But again, oh, now I went and lost and forgot what I was going to say. It'll come back to me. Let's finish up our cat-cow. Let's come back to our strong tabletop position, and let's make some wrist circles here. Or not wrist circles, I'm sorry, body circles, which is in service of the wrist. I love this warm-up. Stephen McGuire, I learned this from a teacher, Stephen McGuire at Yoga East, who is an awesome kettlebells teacher, and this is a warm-up we do before swinging kettlebells. So, reverse your circle, and I'm not going to do the full warm-up here. We're just going to do a couple. Good. Come back to center. Turn your fingers in towards the center line of your mat, towards one another. Again, palms are flat and we're using the whole surface of the hand. Maybe your circles are a little smaller because the hand is in sort of a weird position. Be gentle, be gentle. Like, you know what feels right and you know what feels wrong in your body. So if I ever ask you to do something that does not feel good, don't do it. Don't do it. Good. And reverse that circle. Awesome. And let's come back to normal hand placement. All right, so from here we are going to, if you're forward on your mat, scoot back a little so you've got some space up here, and then walk the arms forward into a nice little angle. As you inhale, I want you to bring your body weight forward into the hands, begin to squeeze the elbows in and lower to your belly, and keep the hands where they are for Bhujangasana. Extend your legs long behind you, tops of the feet down, and I want you to let the forehead rest and pretend like you're going to look down your own shirt here. Press your pubic bone into the mat. So this is important because if not, your pelvis tends to untuck, and already I can feel that jamming my back. So push your pubic bone down to lengthen your tailbone, and then don't squeeze your butt. Inhale, lift up. We're going to do 3 little cobras here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Let the forehead go back to that start point. Relax everything each time you come in between the pose. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And I just remembered what I was going to say about cat-cow, is that the reason we do it is because it's good practice moving with the breath. It sets the tone for your practice. Speaking of, that's what we just did in Cobra. We inhale, lift, exhale, lower, moving with the breath. So we're going to change our Cobra here. I want you to now take your legs as wide as your mat. Take your hands, they might even come off of your mat a little, but palms are still flat. And then push the earth away, wide leg cobra. This to me feels absolutely awesome. I like this one better than any of the other cobra variations. You might have a completely different reaction to this pose. So if that's the case, you can just repeat your normal cobra. All right, lower the body down, take those hands back underneath your shoulders, legs together, toes tucked. Press the pubic bone down, activate your core, and push up to plank position. So your push up to plank position might be a little wobbly, and that's okay. We always need to work on building our core and upper body strength. Just somehow, some way, join me in plank for here for a couple breaths. Palms are still flat, fingers wide. Anytime we're bearing weight in yoga, that is the hand position that we want. Strong animal pause. Legs are also strong. Squeezing the legs. My butt is not untucking and piking up. I'm keeping my body in one long line. Awesome. Okay, if you need to lower down with the assistance of a knee, do so, but let's come back to the belly. Whew. Take a breath. Those weight-bearing poses really get the heart rate up. All right, back to our cobra, our Bhujangasana position with the forehead down, looking into your heart space. Hands under shoulders, legs together, and pubic bone gently pushing into the mat. Butt is relaxed. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. Last time. Inhale, lift. Don't squeeze the butt. Exhale, lower down. Take the legs wide. Again, we're coming into wide leg cobra. Palms go forward. If you don't like this one, do a different version. Inhale. Enjoy this stretch. And exhale, lower down. Awesome. Palms back underneath shoulders, toes tuck. Pressing the pubic bone down. This time, instead of plank, we're going to push up and stretch back into Balasana, child's pose. Any version that you like. There's umpteen versions of child's pose, so whatever one feels good. I like extended child's pose with the knees wide, arms reaching out. Give your arms a nice stretch here first, and then forehead and arms relax. Everything relaxes. Belly is soft. And we're going to come up. Back to table. Back to strong, active table. No cow belly here. Tucking in the tail slightly. So we're going to come to standing somehow, some way. So you can do that a couple ways. You know, you could pike back to down dog and step forward, or you could step one leg forward and the other leg forward. It does not matter to me. We are going to meet here in this Uttanasana though. So feet slightly wider than hip distance, and we're rounding forward. Nice bend in the knees. We're ragdolling here. Head and neck is completely relaxed. Give your body a little sway. Nod the head. Deep exhale, and then let go of your elbows. Push your hands into your shins. You could also have a block here. This is nice to kind of just ground down. It gives a little more oomph to the upper body. This is an active pose, right? This half forward bend. Long spine. Belly pulling up towards the spine. Neck long. And we're just gazing down at whatever's in front of our face. From here, we'll inhale, come all the way up. You can reach the arms up overhead. And exhale the arms down. Find our mountain pose, our Tadasana. And we're going to come into Virabhadrasana A, Warrior A. So take a moment, fix what needs fixing. Pants, shirt, hair. If you have a sip of water and you like to take a little refreshment break. please do so. And then we're gonna find that wide stance on our mats, toes forward. So I know wide is a relative term, but you kind of have to, again, if this pose is new to you or you're newish to yoga, you kind of have to just work with what, like wide as your mat is way too wide. It starts to feel really uncomfortable and unstable. So you want to feel strong and stable, like you could spring into action from that wide stance. So we're going to turn the whole right leg to the right, front of the mat. Left toes in slightly, so we're starting to orient ourselves towards the right. Good, inhale and sweep the arms up overhead, and exhale and bend your right knee. So I always have to micro adjust my feet in this pose. It never fails. Once I bend the knee, I realize that this back leg needs to go a little wider, or I might need to open my toes a little more. It depends on how your body is feeling from day to day. Your pose is never going to look the exact same way from day to day, from pose to pose. It's just not how the body is. It's always going to be little things that you have to account for that weren't there the day before. So, Warrior A, we're trying to bend this front knee to nice deep 90 degrees. This back leg is also really pushing and taking some weight too, so we're not just dumping all the weight into this right thigh. Good. If arms up overhead is a little too intense, take them down to heart center, which I like because my thumbs hit right at heart level, and I can lift my sternum into the heart. All right, lift my sternum into the thumbs. Good. Inhale. Come through center. Take a breath. So both toes are pointing forward. Good. Whole left leg opens to the back of the mat. Right toes in. We're orienting ourselves to the left. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead or take prayer position and bend your left knee. Push weight into that back leg. Do not worry about squaring your hips forward. The hips are going to be at a soft angle. Remember, ease here. Breathe. Notice what you feel in this pose. I always notice the back bend in Warrior A. I think it feels great. You might notice something else. Good. Inhale. Relax everything. Come back to center. We're going to hold this wide stance and set up for Virabhadrasana B, Warrior 2. So we want to start with strong shoulders, so just lifting the arms out to the side just doesn't cut it. Strong arms, so you can pretend like you're opening a heavy door or a heavy curtain, or I like the swing the arms out wide and let them softly float into that shoulder level position. Right leg to the front, left toes in, again orienting ourselves to the right, looking over the right arm, exhale, bend the right knee. Pushing weight into the back leg. Those of you who've been practicing for a while and need a challenge in this pose, you know what to do. You go deeper, right? Or you challenge yourself to hold the gaze for the entire time you're holding the pose. Don't let the eyes dart around. Or you're focused on the breath. Lots of ways to stay, or to keep the pose, I guess, fresh, for lack of a better word. Good. Inhale. Straighten the leg. Challenge to keep the arms wide. We're pivoting in the body and exhaling into the other side. Good. Those transitions take time to learn in yoga, so if you're a little, it's not as smooth as you'd like it to be, it's okay. Give yourself something to look forward to. Again, slow movement builds those little stabilizer muscles, and that's what allows that smooth, graceful transition. Good. Keep breathing. And inhale, come up, relax. Let's heel toe, feet together. Let's give the hips a break from that wide stance. Give yourself a moment here. Notice how this practice has made you feel so far, how the body feels, and what's going on in the mind as well. Good. All right. Let's step back to the short edge to the front of your mat. And take a moment here. So I have limited space, so I have to scrunch my blocks over here. So if you have your 2 yoga blocks, great, set them up here so that when you open up, the blocks are behind you relatively close to each foot or each leg. If you don't have blocks, it's a-okay. I'll tell you how to do this pose without it. So we're coming into Utita Triconasana, again, a very foundational Hatha, well, yoga in general, yoga posture. Really good for just everything. It's really a good full body pose. So we're going to start by opening up wide. Again, that wide stance, about the same as we had for our warriors. And we're going to turn the right toes to the front, left toes in, and again, strong arms, mindful how you get those arms up really strong. Let those arms float up to a T, look over the right arm. And then I want you to tilt out over that leg, grab that block and place it right beside your ankle. So this other arm's kind of hanging out in limbo, that's okay. It can go to the hip. Let it go to the hip to start. Figure out the bottom half here. So my palm is flat. I'm up on the 3rd level of my block. You can take it down if you need. If you don't have a block, you can rest on the shin, right? Don't rest on the knee, rest on the shin. You can take the hand and push into the side of the leg as a way to help turn your torso. So really the only time you should be lifting this upper arm is if your shoulders can stack. Right, what that means is your bottom shoulder is going to be stacked underneath your top shoulder. So if you're here and leaning forward, take it here and work on getting that opening first. The arm stuff will come later, don't worry about that. Keep the legs strong. You can look up or to the side. Back to foundations here, back to foundations. Good, inhale, come up. Arms wide. Change sides for the left leg. Good, right toes in a little. Lean out like you're gonna touch your fingertips on the wall to the side of you and come down, grab your block. I'm gonna go down to level 2 here. And if your shoulders stack, open the arm. If not, take it to the hip. And breathe. Let your eyes rest. Don't let your eyes dart around. Focus on the breath. Follow the breath in, follow the breath out. Slow, smooth exhale. Good. Inhale, come up. And relax. We're going to keep our blocks right where they are. We're going to widen the stance, not a lot, like maybe open your foot one more little footstep. And we're going to start the same way we've been starting. Strong shoulders. Inhale. Let the arms float to shoulder level. Right leg to the front, left toes in. So this is kind of a combination of all the shapes that we've just been putting our body in. Extended side angle. Bend your knee for warrior 2. We extend out like we do in triangle, and we take the hand down to that block. Or I like this version better. I like the forearm on the thigh, and this other arm sweeps all the way over, bicep over ear. So you can see why we call it extended side angle. We're in this lovely long angle from ankle to tips of fingers. Big hip strengthener here. So remember not to dump your weight. I know it's tempting. Try to keep a lot of your weight pushing into that back leg, so it's going to make this a lot less miserable for your front leg. So your little forearm should just be lightly resting there. Or again, you could use the block. All right, so coming up can be a little tricky. I like to come up to the ball of my toes sometimes and push off. It's a nice use of your muscle. And then let's change sides, arms strong, come into your warrior 2. And remember, slow movement here, don't whip into it. Reach out long, exhale, take whatever version you like, forearm to knee or hand to block. If you're able to get this back arm arced all the way over your ear, make sure your shoulder is not crushing your ear. Plug that shoulder into its socket. It's where it wants to be. And breathe. Pushing weight into that back leg, like you're trying to pull the mat longer with your feet. Engage those inner thighs. And come up. Inhale. Good. Heel toe together. Hips, give them a break. Step to the short edge of your mat. You can set your blocks so they're not in your way. Once again, take a moment here in your mountain pose to notice what this posture or what those postures have done for you, how you're feeling, how your hips are feeling. Hopefully really strong, you're really deep in your breathing. Okay, Pashimo Tanasana. Find a reverse clasp, so that could be taking fingers clasping here, wrists, elbows, which is my favorite these days. Reverse prayer just does not feel good on my shoulders anymore, so I opt for elbows. Got to roll with the punches that aging brings your way. So we're going to step back with that right leg and pivot so that we're facing the back of the mat and the right leg is forward. I love this pose. This is an awesome pose. It's very fluid the way we move in and out of this pose. So I want you to feel like if you notice your hips are turning to the left, pull them center. So the right hip pulls back, the left hip pulls forward. That's the tricky part of this pose. And then I want you to lean back a little, look up where the ceiling meets the wall, and then exhale, fold forward, walk the eyes down until they get to your toes. Feels like you're going to lay your heart down on your thigh, but you're not going to fold that deeply. And breathe. Again, shoulders are away from ears, chest is broad, and you're breathing. And to come out, we reverse, walk the eyes, come up slow, push your feet into the mat. It's like you're trying to keep the floor down. Good, inhale all the way up, hold your clasp and pivot back to the front of the mat. Now the left leg is forward, and that left hip is pulling back while the right hip pulls forward. Inhale, little back bend as we look up, open the chest, and exhale like we're going to lay our heart down on our thigh. Slow descent down. Good. Eyes resting on toes. If this is a little too much, that reverse clasp and that fold, there it is. You can have both blocks on either side of your foot, and palms can be flat. This is an awesome way to work on this posture. So blocks are important because they allow you to engage the muscles, which you might not be able to do yet on your own. So this teaches us how the pose should feel. Really important. So don't label props as a crutch. Props are helpful. Senior yoga teachers, not senior as an old, but like masters, yoga masters, they use blocks too. Inhale, come all the way up. Step forward. If you have a little wrist tenderness or a little arm tenderness from that clasp, just gently shake it out. We don't want to snap the joints. And then we're ready to come down for some seated postures. Hooray. So let's come into a squat. To do so, I'm going to turn to face you so you can just see me a little bit better. So my feet are a little wider than hip distance, and I'm going to turn the toes out. And I slowly bend down. So a squat requires open hips, knees, and ankles. Any one of those things are tight in a squat is probably going to be uncomfortable. So one way you can work on it is to do a high squat here, or come down and use a block to sit on while you work on opening those joints. So you can work on a squat this way. Arms are pushing the legs, legs resist. This feels awesome. This actually feels really good on my achy arm. Or we come into prayer position, Same kind of idea, we're just pushing inward and getting a little bit of a different stretch for the upper body. Couple breaths here, Malasana, garland pose. And then exhale, release. Good. If you're on a block, slide it out and just support yourself as you come down to your mat. And if you have your yoga belt or yoga strap with you, grab it. Again, if you don't have these yoga props, they're really cheap and you can get them anywhere if you're looking to build your home practice. However, don't fret if you don't have it. So you can still do the pose without it. We're going to come into Pashimo Tanasana, which is a foundational seated forward bend that stretches the whole backside of our bodies. So let's set up good form here. So let's start from the feet and work our way up. Toes flexing back towards you. Ball of the toe pushing out. Legs engaged, so we're squeezing the legs together, but also pushing them down into the mat. And if you have your strap, you can go ahead and get it around the tops of your heels and wrap that strap around a couple times here. And then pull the belly in towards your spine, pull back on the strap, and lift your chest. And again, I love this cue. I've been using it a lot lately. As we fold, it feels as though like you're going to lay your heart flat on your legs. You're not actually going to do that, but that gets you going in the right position. Take a breath. Exhale and fold. Notice that I didn't fold very far. All right, I just leaned out over my legs. That is okay. I don't want you to feel like you've got to get down to the feet. There's nothing magical or special about reaching the feet. If you work where your body can relax. So again, I'm going to come out of this while I talk, but you stay in it. If we're forcing ourselves in a pose, right, or we're creating strain, you're signaling a stress response to your body. So you might as well not even be doing yoga. You might as well just stop. That stress, that strain creates that stress response, and so the body can't relax. So what we're trying to do is get to a place where the breath is easy and smooth, because the breath is one of the biggest and best ways to trigger rest and digest. That's why it's important to stay in a pose, in a place in a pose where your breath is manageable, easy, deep, and smooth. I hope this makes sense. Okay, on your next inhale, come up, tall spine. You can release your strap, but keep it handy. And then I want you to bend your right knee in, and I'm going to turn to face you so you can see me better for this pose. Janu Shirshasana A. The right knee is up and out. And then we're going to plant that right foot on the inner thigh. Think tree pose position here, and we are in line with our extended leg. If you've got the strap around the heel, right, we're going to fold just the way we did in the last pose. If you don't have the strap, have your hands on either side of your leg and just spider crawl yourself into that little fold. Again, it sort of feels like eventually, if you were to go far enough, you'd be laying your heart down on your leg. But we're not going to go that far. Right? Go to that place where the breath is still manageable. Gazing at the toes. This posture is awesome for your back. You could probably feel that back stretch in the lower right of your back. And it's great for sciatica. Good. Inhale. Come up. And let's change legs. Open that leg out. Plant that inner foot on the inner thigh. So sit tall. I don't think I gave you that cue on the last side. It's always important to start our fold with a tall spine, whether you've got the strap or not. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Again, let the eyes rest. This is also in service of your nervous system. The less your eyes dart around, the less your brain has to process. Let the rest of the world, let your peripheral vision go fuzzy. Let it go blurry. Inhale, come up. Good. Bring that other foot back. So join the soles of your feet together for Baddha Konasana. Grab a block. I would like to show you a modification for this pose that I absolutely adore. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see what I'm doing. I've got the block on its flattest, lowest level. I'm sitting on it. My feet, the soles of my feet are together in Baddha Konasana, but what I'm doing is scooting forward so that my sit bones roll off the edge of the block, and what's left, really it's my tailbone that's balancing me here on the block. There's something about this that just feels magical. It feels great on my hips. My upper body feels really nice and lifted here, so I invite you, if you've got this prop, give that a go. But you can still do Baddha Konasana without it. Right? We can still sit on our bottoms or even on a blanket and bring the soles of the feet together. The only thing is, if you notice that your knees, a lot of people with tight hips, their knees are all the way up here. And not that it's like, inherently bad, but it doesn't feel good, right? Remember, vagus nerve, rest and digest. If the body is straining, hanging, you're creating stress. You're creating stress. So support the knees. The knees can relax. I can take a breath here. This feels much better than trying to hold my knees up or trying to force them down. So lots of options there. You can take hands around ankles here. Take a lovely breath, lift the chest, stay here and work, or continue the pose by folding, again, like you're gonna lay your heart down on top of your feet. Let your eyes rest. Don't strain. Don't force to go deeper. Notice that when you breathe and focus, your body will naturally allow you to go deeper in the pose. It's very subtle. Inhale, come back up. Awesome. Take the legs out in front, give them a little, if you're on your block, go ahead and come off of that. Shake out. We're going to get a seated twist in here, and then we're going to start heading down to our backs for like a little finishing sequence, and then we'll be into Shavasana. So we're going to start with the right leg, bend that right leg in, Marichyasana C, classical yoga posture here, classical yoga twist. Pick yourself up and scoot closer to that heel. So now this right leg is real close to you, which is great because we want to hug the front of this leg in first to sit tall. This leg, our straight leg, is really straight, and I apologize if I'm getting cut off at all here. So I'm going to work out the kinks with my camera. I'll turn to the side. There we go. So I'm sitting nice and tall. My extended leg is engaged. I'm going to let the right arm find a little perch behind me, and you could even use a block back here if you want to lay a hand on it to kind of help keep you keep your back straight. And then the left arm, we lift and really reach, create some space. And then on the exhale, you can either wrap that arm around the front of your bent knee and twist, yeah? Or a little harder here, get that elbow on the outside, creates a nice deeper twist. Don't do the deeper one because you think that's better. Do the one that feels manageable for you today. What I mean by manageable is, again, you're breathing smoothly and evenly. You're not straining, right? Not holding the breath. Good. So keep breathing here. Notice what your back shoulder is doing. If it wants to creep forward, keep pulling it back. And don't over twist here. An easy twist will do it. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, release your twist. Let's change legs. Right leg long, keep it engaged. Sit a little closer to your left heel. Let the left arm now be your brace behind you as the right arm lifts and finds big length here. Exhale, decide what version you want to take. Exhale into your twist and hold. Don't hold the breath. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Both legs long. Arms out to your sides. Lower on down and give yourself a big, full body stretch. Let this feel good. Shake out the legs. Lean from side to side maybe. We're going to come into bridge pose. Get our back bend in for the day, so have a block handy. So bend your knees, flat feet, and I want to make sure, I noticed this a lot in my class on my live person class on Thursday. A lot of people's feet were really far away from their sit bones. And I'm glad I noticed this because I don't often cue this, so I want to make sure I start reminding people to do this. If your feet are really far away from your rear end and you lift up into bridge, it sucks. It does not feel good, at least for me. I think for most people are going to find that it's just really hard to lift. You're not able to utilize your leg strength efficiently, so it really strains the body. Walk your feet in as close as you can to your sit bones. You might even be able to touch your heels. All right, and then again, we want to maintain that hip distance. Now we're ready to use our leg strength to help us get up. Arms at the sides, inhale, push the earth away and push with the arms and the feet, lift. Squeeze the hips to lift higher. Grab your block. I know I like level 2 the best. Let the tailbone rest on the block. Take a second here and find the best spot. So if you feel any pinching, any strain in the back once you settle onto the block, then you're not in the right place. And that also might mean you need to take it down a lower notch. So you need to feel really supported here. If you're newer to this pose or maybe your back is really tight and achy today, don't push it. Okay, stay active here in the upper body by pushing, bracing your arms against the floor and really lifting the chest, open the chest. Imagine your rib cage is like spread open here. The lungs have all this room to move. So fill up those lungs. Take a lovely breath in. Slow breath out. It might be a really long breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose, slow. Keep breathing this way. Close the eyes. Open the eyes. If you are on any level other than level 1, turn it down. Let yourself rest there and then bring both legs up into the air. So I've been using this description. I can't remember where I heard it. I think I heard it from another teacher at Yoga East, and I loved it. Trisha, my friend Trisha, who teaches a gentle class at Yoga East, said, imagine your legs up in the air like a piece of seaweed, and you're floating upwards towards the surface of the water. So you're on the bottom, sort of being, hey buddy, got my buddy down here with me here for last piece of class. Your legs are like seaweed and you're just kind of floating in the current. So do that. Let the legs just gently float around, left to right, right to left, side to side. We're not really engaged much here. We're giving our mind something fun to do with the legs while we enjoy some reverse blood flow here. It's not just for the blood, it's reversing lymph fluid too. If at any point you feel like your low back could use some more support, adjust your, I just had to do that, adjust your block. So legs are up here. You could even then do a little gentle bicycle. And I have a wall to my left, so I can't do this, but maybe you can let the legs go wide and enjoy a little inner thigh stretch. And then maybe back to bicycle, maybe back to seaweed legs. And again, you can close the eyes. And you can brace your arms here as much as you want. You can make this super active, right? You can point the toes, make the legs strong. But I like this at the end of a class sometimes too, to just get a little loosey-goosey here. Nice deep breath and a slow breath out. Good. Bring one leg down, followed by the other. Slide your block away. We don't need it anymore. Left leg goes flat to the mat. Hug your right knee in. Give it a nice squeeze. And we're gonna, hey bud, we're gonna release that leg. Hi, honey. We're gonna release that leg across. Again, I have a wall in my way, so I'm gonna have to scoot over a bit. We're coming into that gentle reclined crocodile twist. So the right arm goes out to the side. My left arm is helping keep my leg down a little. Big deep breath, slow exhale. And then come back, do the other side. Right leg long, left knee in. This is a gentle squeeze, so don't over squeeze to the point of strain. This is just a little, it's a little boost for our digestion. When we squeeze that knee in, we're really sort of encouraging things to move on along in the intestines. Good. Crocodile twist. And coming on back. I have a very needy cat with me today. Come on back and let's do a double knee squeeze in here. And you can, Simon, what are you doing, bud? Hug your knees in towards your nose. Curl up like a little bug. And then release the limbs. The legs go long. The arms are down by the sides. And if your props happen to be kind of scattered nearby, shove them out of the way. Or if you have clothes or your glasses or water bottle, make sure that they aren't touching your legs, feet, hands, and arms. Anything that's touching us while we're trying to relax is going to be sending signals to the brain, right? So the goal is to not do that. We want complete relaxation here. So lay flat, close the eyes. Again, a nice mouth exhale. Really good here. It's a deep, deep sigh, a deep exhale. That sound, that audible exhale gives weight to releasing fatigue. It just helps it quickly dissipate from the body. So give yourself a little body scan here. Make sure you're not clenching any of the pelvic floor muscles. The belly is soft. Shoulders are completely relaxed back and down. And your face is very relaxed. Again, softly, eyes softly closed, jaw unclenched, tongue in the bottom of your mouth. And actually, in this lying down position, your tongue kind of falls to the back of your teeth, and that's fine, just as long as you're not, the tongue isn't on the roof of the mouth. So after those audible deep sighs, find your natural breath. Give the full weight of your body over to the floor. And each time that you exhale, feeling a little heavier and a little heavier and a little softer and more relaxed. Fatigue is draining away from you. Any fatigue created by the postures of today's practice is draining away and leaving nothing but energy, softness, peace of mind. I want you to continue to lie here with your eyes closed, not moving unless you have to adjust something for comfort. And all I'm going to do is say some body parts out loud, and all you have to do is take your mind to that body part and notice. See if you can feel that invisible touch on that body part. The left eye, the right eye, your nose, your lips, chin, neck, collarbones, left shoulder and left arm, all 5 fingers on the left hand, the spaces between those fingers, the fingernails, the right shoulder and right arm, all 5 fingers on the right hand, the spaces between those fingers, and all 5 fingernails. Your belly, your left hip, left glute, your left thigh, and your whole left leg, all the way down to the ankle, all 5 toes, the spaces between those toes, and toenails, your right hip, right glute, right thigh, the whole right leg all the way down to the ankle, all 5 toes, the spaces between those toes, and those 5 toenails. The whole front side of your body, the whole back side of your body, just the lower half of your body, just the upper half of your body, just your head, your whole body as one. But if your palms are facing down on the floor, turn them so they're facing up. And I want you to pretend that on your next inhale, you're breathing in through the palms of your hands and exhaling through the palms of your hands. Notice that when you direct your prana, your life force, your awareness, your energy to that body part, it's as if you are actually breathing out of the palms of your hands. You can feel it. Let's do the same thing with the soles of our feet. I want you to pretend like you're breathing in through the soles of the feet. And exhale nice and slow, like you're actually passing oxygen through your feet. And then I want you to pretend on your next inhale that you're breathing in through every pore of your body. Every surface is taking in that inhale, and every exhale is releasing that breath So the whole body starts to feel relaxed, oxygenated, soft, energized. Again, take another breath like that, full body breath. Slow exhale. And then return to your natural breath. And then starting to move the body as we start to come out of our yogic rest here. You know the drill. Small little wrist circles, finger wiggling, toe wiggling, ankle rotations. Start slow, start small, and then let the limbs get involved. So bigger movements. You can stretch the legs, stretch the arms, turn the head to stretch the neck. You can curl up again and enjoy that little spine rock. Whatever feels good. Take a minute here. A full body stretch would feel great too. Take your time. Eventually, I want you to roll onto that right side of the body, that fetal position, supporting your neck with your bottom arm. Support the neck. Curl up, keep the eyes closed. I love this position. It's a recovery position. It feels nice. We're grounded on the right side of the body by our heavy internal organs. We've also freed up our airway. The left side, the heart, is able to pump and we're able to breathe freely. So enjoy that. A nice deep breath here. This is a great place to notice the effects of your yoga practice. And then using your strong arms, pushing yourself up from that fetal position and joining me back here in Sukhasana, cross-legged position with or without a prop, whatever feels right for you. Nice, tall, straight back. Shoulders relaxed. Let's bring the hands together in front of the heart center. Acknowledge the closing of our yoga practice. And thank and acknowledge yourself for practicing yoga today. Take a moment and notice what's different. We're in that rest and digest mode where everything is okay. The body is healing. Things are working as they're supposed to work. Thank you, my friends, for joining me for this yoga practice today. I will see you in the next video. Namaste.